You know, I'm always semi-insulted when somebody from Los Angeles calls Sacramento Northern California, and then he talks about the drought that our state is having. Our state is having a drought. Listen, we don't have a drought. You guys have a drought. Your water management and where people decided to live, and the water sources that they chose to not put in place, all the backdoor money dealing that went on with California water. I mean, there's a YouTube special on that. Everyone should look at that, okay? About the dirty money in California water. There's a whole special on it. Um, no, I'm surrounded by lakes, and that water all goes down so that, think about this, you have a farmer, and he may employ some people, but the majority of farmers, if possible, will use machines for harvesting, like almonds. Okay? You get on that freeway and you start driving south, and it was almond orchard after orchard after almond orchard. That's owned by a farmer. Okay? This is a guy running a business growing almonds. Okay? And that's where the water goes. Those guys make their own deals. Okay? The guy, the pistachio king, right? Same deal. It took 1 trillion gallons of water for that crop from California. 1 trillion gallons, okay? 90% of that harvest went overseas. And it's the same thing with almonds. So, when I hear about water problems, things like this, I kind of, yeah, I'm a little insulted. Okay, Northern California is at the north end of California, and then there's the central part of California, and then there's the southern part of California. Okay, Central California, what they've done is they've depleted their aquifer. They've depleted their aquifer. They have 2 feet a year of subsidence happening down there because they're just sucking all the water out. They're not growing food that we need. It's a business that's trying to make a profit. So you're going to subside the land of a whole fucking state. What happens when it gets so low that we start having salt intrusion? What happens when you can't grow crops there anymore? Who pays the price for that? See, my problem has always been that farmers make like they're this great fucking group, okay? And that we need them. No, listen, we could grow healthier food more plentifully, okay, per acre by growing it vertically. We could change the way we produce food in the United States. We're not going to do it because for a very long time, like the ranchers that run cattle on land that you and I own, we don't get any money from that. And then they get all pissed off when we're like, well, you're going to have to buy feed for your animals. And see, that was free money for them. They run their cows on public land, BLM land, and there's no gain for us in that, having all that land used so that one guy can have a fucking cattle ranch. Yeah, we don't. I mean, there are so many ways that we allow systems to be in place that are detrimental to society in every way. Now, that's not communism. That's humanism. You see, there are going to be people born after us, hopefully. And they have to live with the legacy that we have left them. And for my generation, I watched it happen with my own eyes. I watched the degradation. Because when you get to be my age, time flies, and it seems like life goes like that. And I look back and I realize that geologically, it's not much time at all. We went from this one type of waterway down in the bay where I grew up over a course of 50 years, I watch it degrade to this cesspool. You know what I mean? Devoid of most of its life. Factories lining the river, just like all rivers that are used and abused. They're owned by fucking people that are running a business to make money, to become billionaires. Those fucking factories on the edge of a river, that's owned by people. That's not yours or mine or the government's. It's a private fucking entity. And the government doesn't get to tell them much other than the regulations they pass, which is why they spend billions of dollars every year bribing your and my politicians, senators, congressmen, representatives, spending billions of dollars to buy those fucking people so they can lessen the regulations so that people can then make more money. It's way easier to spend that money because they'll make it up in profits quite easily. That's why the Koch brothers, the one right now who is basically probably living the hell that he's created for himself, he will be doing that. It's this whole capitalistic thing. Okay, so capitalism is a good thing. Well, guess what? I have watched it do nothing for this planet for 50 years. Nothing. All extraction and nothing going back in. No work being done. Okay? I see coal companies chopping off fucking mountaintops. You don't see the mountaintops going back. It's so that individual private parties can make a giant fucking profit. And a lot of the products that they produce, okay, like coal and oil and plastic, they're the ones that spend the most money every year because they're the ones that are degrading our environment faster than anyone else. I just saw a plastic commercial that was all happy, dancy, fucking seventh grade bullshit about how they care for the environment. It just drove me crazy. That's the most criminal fucking shit. You can make plastic food wrappers out of corn. We don't have to use plastics. There's a lot of substitutes for plastics. There's a lot of ways that we could make them pay to recover all of these microplastics, make them pay for the research. Just like these guys that you want to grow 10,000 almond trees and you want to use, 500,000 gallons of water every week. Well, you're going to have to pay this much money. I would rather see the land fallow and growing reed. Like most of the valley is reed. You know what I mean? If you go down there, you'll see that, we have a lot of elk and stuff. People don't know that. There's preserves right down south of here that have giant elk. And it's tule and it's reed and it's valley bottomland, and it needs to go back that way. Then you have a possibility of some of the aquifer being replenished. The problem with aquifers, they keep saying, "Oh, we're going to refill the aquifer." No, and here we have clay, and those pockets that held water, that clay was held apart by hydraulic pressure. Water doesn't compress, so you have 1,000 foot of earth over this pocket of water, and it's not going to go anywhere until we tap into it. The problem is once the water's gone, they collapse and they don't refill like balloons. They don't refill. That's it. It's done. And the amount of subsidence that's happened is fucking scary. I show the picture all the time. It's scary. I mean, you're talking about 2 telephone poles. And it's subsiding 2 feet a year. Think about that. 2 feet a year. That means that 50 years from now, the Sacramento Valley will be 100-foot deep valley gorge. There has to be an end to it sooner or later. We have to change the way we're doing things. And, I'm all for growing food for the American populace. I'm just against having one person being in control of that and doing it to make profit and destroying the land and using up vast quantities of land to accomplish this task when it doesn't have to be done that way. And most of them are relying on rain and natural sources of water for their crops, because then sunlight and carbon dioxide in the atmosphere does the rest. Yeah, they have to fertilize it. That's their major cost. Fuel to run their equipment and fertilizer to put on the ground. The rest of it, they're counting on rain. And when it doesn't come, then they pump out of the aquifer. And I think we all know that this wet weather we're having, I think this could be a new cycle every 5 years. But we're going to go back into where it's dry. Trust me. And they'll be pumping the aquifer again. Who pays for that? See, all these individuals, there's no, and then they find every fucking possible loophole and way they can to not pay taxes. And then, like the farmers down where my mom was living, down by Gilroy, past Gilroy, where the fuck was that? They had these orange orchards, orange trees. And it was just, as you're driving by, you see the rows all line up. It's really hypnotic to watch. I've been doing it my whole life, going up and down the road, watching the rows go by and thinking, wow, those are really perfect. And then here's a guy with a tractor that's pulling up these young orange trees. And when I found out that he was doing it to get paid, so he plants the orange tree, he grows it to 6 feet, and then the government, to keep the economy balanced the way they want it, they pay him thousands of dollars to pull each one of these fucking orange trees up out of the ground. What the fuck? That is a pretty damn good scam. I imagine you have to be sucking someone's whatever to get a permit to grow orange trees down there. It's all crooked. Oh, the water situation in California, it's all fucking crooked. And people let water out. I've seen years where they let out too much water because they thought, oh, we need room for the water. And I'm like, listen, we don't have a forest up here anymore. You guys have fucking clear cut almost all of this area back here. Everyone thinks we have forest in California. I've also shown that photo many times. If you go to Google Earth and you zoom in on the Sierra Nevada range, it's all fucking clear cuts. The snow doesn't stay there. It doesn't soak into the ground there. And, a man has helped create this problem. Again, because of greed. So people owned those lots through old deeds. Okay. And then they were allowed to strip the whole fucking place except for one little group of 5 trees that they would leave there. I think that's what it is. 5 or 6 trees is you'll see in each one of those little scars that looks like a jigsaw puzzle. And each one of those scars has 5 or 6 trees growing in it. No, I have a problem. I don't have a problem with capitalism per se as a system. I have a problem with human beings per se as a heartless fucking animal who will literally destroy a fucking world to continue to make their fucking profit. Oil company executives, when they go to work, they have to know they're destroying the planet. And they're not spending all of their money trying to get into green energy. They're spending their money producing commercials saying they're going to get into green energy. Look what we're going to do for the future. Makes me fucking sick. Only the naive believe that. Okay? Only the childish mind can believe that. Okay, I feel better. I needed to get that off my chest. When I see a commercial like that, it just drives me crazy. I have to say something. I have to say something. It's just so disgusting to listen to their little jingles and their whole happy, smiley, dancy look of idiotic glee commercial trying to convince me that they love me and they're going to just save the world with this new technology. We're growing algae. Yeah, that came and went, didn't it? That came and went real quick. Oh, we're growing algae. They showed that commercial over and over and over and over for years. And all of a sudden, whoop, it was done. That's back when they were saying they were still fighting the fact that climate change wasn't a science. See, commercialism, capitalism, communism, anything with the ism behind it, uh, I'm really not for. I think what we need is humanitarian society based on the individual human being benefiting as much as every other individual being on the planet, and then managing our planet for a future. It's not that hard. Everything else in the middle of those two goalposts can cover a lot of ground, okay? But it has to be built in a way that benefits everybody for everybody, and we have to stop letting these fucking billionaires exist, okay? It's a disease on our system. These people with hundreds of billions of dollars of assets tied up in whatever the fuck they want. Dick fights in space, giant fucking boats. It doesn't benefit humanity in any way, okay? As a matter of fact, the carbon footprint that Amazon creates and the garbage that they put through shredders every day, all return products. You return something, you think it's going back to the warehouse. No, it's not. It goes in a fucking grinder. And yeah, you do have businesses that will purchase lots and then try to resell them, but that's just a drop in the bucket for what happens. That's another Amazon ploy to show these. Oh, look, Amazon products have a second life. Yeah, 1.1%. Yeah, see, we can't do it because the system that's put in place was put in place by the most evil of forces that humans can muster, the most evil of mentalities, the most animalistic of animalistic human beings. And this is why billionaires don't give away their money. They're all give it away when I die. And then it goes to all these individual groups and corporations that hand it out to whoever they want to hand it out to by earning interest on the bulk. The main fortune never goes a single fucking dime lower. It is simply earning interest here or it's earning interest here. That's it. Nice, safe, secure, big money interest. $1 billion is a lot of money every month in interest, even in a very secure situation. That's what they do. That's the system that was put in place. The amount of plastic, can you imagine the amount of plastic that goes through Amazon warehouses every day? I bet it's in the billions of tons. The amount of, I mean, when they're finding plastic on Mount Everest, in our food, in our water, every part of the ocean, I mean, it's kind of getting scary, the amount of plastic. And see, that was the wonder product. Everything was plastic. It was a wonder product. And it was the same thing, okay? People knew early on, oh, we're starting to have this contamination problem. And they started their PR programs and they go and they buy, since they're basically the right hand of oil, they go and they know who to talk to in Washington that they can purchase to get a vote the way they want it to go. And cuts regulations. Styrofoam. Fucking styrofoam cups were everywhere. Remember that? Microplastics aren't going away unless we figure out they are trying to develop bacteria that will eat microplastic. The trouble is when you let something loose in the environment like that, it's not going to stop with eating microplastics. When it's done eating all the microplastics, it will start eating all the other plastics, which could be a bad thing. I don't know. Everybody knows that this is a fairly doom and gloom channel because I'm not afraid of facing the truth as the truth exists. And if you look at the truth as it exists, the actual real fucking truth of the way things actually really do operate, it's pretty fucking dire. Yeah, pretty dire. I've been having these, fretful things about Olivia, my great granddaughter, and all the problems she could face. And, that's my number one thing. no one my age wants to pass on, and not knowing that their children, grandchildren, great grandchildren will be safe. And she's of the age where she'll be in the prime of her life when she's having to face these trials and tribulations, which is good. I just know, I know the human being, and I understand what we're up against is just so difficult. It's like trying to bash down a steel wall with a marshmallow. Chopping down the largest tree in the forest with a herring. Okay, I feel better. I just had to talk about it. Everyone knows how I feel. I am. I see the truth some days clearer than others because I can ignore it some days less than I can others. That's what it comes down to. Other things distracting me. But some days it only takes a commercial like that is so propagandish to the immature, uneducated, childish, fucking typical American, you know what I mean? Either the ones that, oh, climate change isn't real, the world is flat, you can substitute, herbal science for real science. I know how many of those people are out there. I look at how politics has been influenced by that specific group because the band-aid got ripped off with Donald Trump. And the ugly side of America came forward in a big rush. And that's not who we are. You know what I mean? It's not. If you think putting on a face mask to help protect other people is some violation of your fucking right, you were probably told that's the situation because any normal human being who gives a fuck about someone other than themselves would be more than glad to wear a mask. I still wear one today. It's just courtesy. You see what is lacking in our society. Those people would be right up the fucking alley to have a cattle farm with 20,000 head of cattle running on BLM land, eating BLM grass, and then selling that at a profit and trying to pay no tax. Or a plastic company that pollutes the oceans, the mountains, our drinking water, and tries to pay no tax. Oil companies that try to pay no tax. They take $500 million a year in fucking social, Social Security, basically, and try not to pay any tax. We don't benefit in any way from this. Capitalism is supposed to benefit us. The whole trickle-down theory, that was proven to be hokum bullshit when it came out, okay? The whole Reagan trickle-down shit was a fucking joke. It was just a new way to say the same old thing again, right? If you're broke and you're poor and you're living homeless, it's your fault. That's what they say. That is a heartless, cruel fucking asshole. That's what you are if you think that. Because you don't have the ability or the imagination or the emotional fucking content of a goddamn log if you can't understand how people that can't contend with this fucked up situation end up where they do. Okay, I said I was done, so I'm really done this time.